John Cena has commented on the Vince McMahon lawsuit allegations. In this video, we're going to talk about exactly what John said that has seemingly sent the internet into a violent frenzy. John Cena was interviewed today on the Howard Stern show and had very interesting comments to make about the Vince McMahon lawsuits. Now, Howard Stern used to be a trailblazer in broadcasting, and while I would love to play the clip of what was said on the Howard Stern show, to be honest, I don't really trust him. I don't really trust that he wouldn't, copyright my channel. I don't really trust that he wouldn't copyright my channel. So, I'm gonna read this article and further elaborate on what John said today. So I'm gonna read this article and elaborate on what John said later today. So this article is by CageSideSeats.com. It says John Cena and Randy Orton comment on the allegations against Vince McMahon. A handful of WWE wrestlers have commented on the shocking allegations against Vince McMahon, including in or revisited as a result of the Janelle Grant sex trafficking lawsuit. Today, we're hearing from two of the company's biggest stars of the century, John Cena and Randy Orton. Cena was asked about the allegations in his relationship with McMahon by Howard Stern on Stern's eponymous show, I don't know what that means, for Sirius XM. Cena's response isn't terribly surprising. That's both because it's not much different from his comments about the 2022 hush money scandal that involved Grant, but not the graphic details of what she says McMahon put her through. And because it's delivered in the kind of a firm... Fuck, I can't read what that says either. Therapy speech. Cena often uses that, at least for this writer, difficulty to parse. Now, I'm going to elaborate on what they mean. While the writer says it's difficult to parse, I think what he means is it's difficult to break down exactly what John means by what he says. Seems like Cena's like walking on eggshells today during what he said about Vince McMahon, and I'll elaborate further what I mean by that as we read through this. But here's a quote by John Cena. I can say this, I'm a big advocate of love and friendship and honesty and communication. But in the same breath, I'm also a big advocate of accountability. I think you explained it well. If someone's behavior lies so far outside your value system and the balance shifts of like, I can't operate in a world where this works, that's the end result of being accountable. So Howard Stern, in the clip I watched, Howard Stern himself said that he had friends in the industry that were canceled, and it was hard for him to remain friends with some of these people as well. And it just seemed like Cena and Howard were just in a sort of circle jerk together on how they're such good guys and they possibly wouldn't do anything wrong in the industry. And all I've heard about John Cena, I've heard nothing but nice things about Cena. Howard Stern is fucking slime in my opinion. Like I said, I used to watch Howard Stern in like 2009 when his show was edgy and like trailblazing and all that. And if you don't like edgy content, even some of the things Howard did back in the day, even I didn't think was in good taste. But John Cena seems like he's a good guy for the most part, but you just don't know. At the end of the day, you don't know. John Cena could easily be doing the same sort of decrepit shit that Vince McMahon is doing on a daily basis. This man is like what? Like John Cena's like 45, 46, 47, doesn't have a wife and kids, doesn't have a normal life by any means. He's a Hollywood star, like he's a Hollywood rock star, so you just don't know what John's up to. So while John is like basically saying, fuck, okay, we're gonna have to cut this part out. Basically what I'm trying to say is you just never know. And it seems like Cena seems to be taking that sort of route with Vince. Obviously, Vince has done a lot for John's career. He wants to keep, promoting Vince the best he can. But I guess Cena's waiting for the facts. I don't know. We're going to keep reading, though. We're going to keep reading. Asked how he plans to address the situation moving forward, the 16-time WWE World Champion devoted most of his answer to McMahon before also expressing his desire to help WWE itself. The company is named as a defendant in Grant's suit. Right now, what I'm going to do is love the person I love, be their friend, and by that it means, hey, I love you, you have a hill to climb. there's a saying of you don't know who your friends are until the shit hits the fan or your back's against the wall. That doesn't make any of what's going on any easier to swallow, but just telling somebody like, hey, I love you, man. This is going to be a hill to climb. We're going to see what happens, and that's that. It sounds so cliche, but it has to be one day at a time. But at the same token, I've openly said I love the guy. I have a great relationship with the guy, so that's that. It's largely my construct of operating with honesty and communication. Those are strong leads to handling any problem or achievement. The whole thing is super unfortunate and it sucks. It deals with an individual I love and an entity I love. I want everyone to have the same experience that I had. Not only do I tell a friend that I love them, but I switch to the entity and I say, how can I help? So it seems like John, just wants to help WWE the best he can. And it seems like he's playing the good guy act and, basically it's just Cena being Cena. He's just the Superman, the hero of everyone. He's just so good. The difference between this answer and the one he gave last year is that while Cena is still standing by someone he loves, he now seems to be entertaining the possibility he could alter or end his relationship with McMahon depending on how Vince climbs this hill. Personally, I'd have preferred to hear some empathy for the alleged victims instead of framing their accusations as a challenge for McMahon to overcome. But Cena may have avoided mentioning them on the advice of legal counsel, and it's his answer, not mine. That seems to be the thing that people are upset about online the most, is the fact that Cena didn't mention the victims at all. But I never thought maybe he's not allowed to mention the victims, so that could be what happened. John Cena's response was a little, Cena's response seemed to be a little more played out, not quite human, like almost robotic. Like Cena's just trying to look for the right words to say, But Randy Orton's statement on the incident seems to have been have a little more flavor to it, if you will. So Randy Orton had this to say: I've got to say, I wouldn't be here without Vince McMahon taking a chance on me a handful of times. I would not be where I am today without Vince McMahon, but fuck. I'm reading this shit. What you've seen and read, I've seen and read. As far as commenting on that, it fucking hurts my heart. It just hurts my heart. From there, the 14-time WWE World Champion switched gears to talking about how he believes that WWE President Nick Khan and Chief Content Creator Paul Levesque are cultivating a safer culture and climate within the company, one that is altogether better across the board. So much happened while I was out. When I left, the old guard was still doing its thing, Vince was still around, TVs were getting rewritten over and over again. The writers were being held up until all hours in the morning, and then all of that changed. I am excited to work for WWE. Nick Khan is amazing. Triple H being in charge of creative is amazing. I've had a relationship with him for over 20 years. I went to his wedding back in 2003. We've been at odds before when I was a fuck up when I was young, and I won him back. He's seen me go from an adolescent asshole prick who didn't know what I was doing. I was an insecure punk. That's what I was. I'm the oldest sibling in my family, but he's like an older brother to me in many ways. He's always been there and had the best of advice. Now, basically what Randy Orton is saying is pretty true. But you have to remember, like, Randy's not entirely innocent when it comes to allegations. They at the end of the day, they are just allegations, but Randy Orton had his own allegations against him as well. When he was exposing himself, like literally exposing himself to people backstage, apparently. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's allegations. But if you know anything about wrestling ribs and, you know, pranks backstage, wrestlers always took things way too far. There's many pranks involving shit back in the day. There's just the wrestling lifestyle is like that of a rock star. It's just very over the top and insane. Just completely insane. Now, Orton talked about how the current WWE regime has allowed him to take it easier on his body since returning from spinal fusion surgery. I'm very happy with the changes, and I'm very happy that Nick Khan, Triple H, Bruce Pritchard, and all those guys are proving the mean company changed. All right, so with that being said, that's the wrestling news today that's coming out. John Cena has spoken how he feels about Vince McMahon, and basically he just feels that he's gonna wait and see what happens with the Vince McMahon allegations and see how this all plays out. Some of the wording he used today didn't come across the best, and you know how wrestling Twitter is. Wrestling Twitter is gonna eat you alive. They're like pariahs. They're like piranhas. They will fucking eat you if you say one wrong thing. They will eat your ass alive on wrestling Twitter. So Big Match John, Big Match Johnny. It's the wrestling news of the day. Also, we have news over here. Shotzi's devastating and angry, yet motivated as she continues injury diagnosis. That's something else is happening. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but when it comes to wrestling, there's just news breaking constantly about wrestling. It's just constant news left and right. Some of it's true, some of it's right. Dave Meltzer, for example. Dave Meltzer's been saying crazy shit lately, saying that All Elite Wrestling, they can't have AAA wrestlers wrestling with CMLL wrestlers, just crazy things like that. And then it comes out that it's not true. Triple H has been throwing out fake rumors constantly, just throwing out fake rumors to throw off the dirt sheets. So this, however, is real wrestling news that happened. John Cena and Randy Orton comment on the allegation against Vince McMahon. So I guess the question is, what do you think about these allegations? Do you think that any of this holds any merit? Or do you think John Cena might be lying for Vince? Do you think John Cena might be like a guy like Brock Lesnar who knows more about Vince's debauchery than he might be leading on? Allegedly. I have to say allegedly to cover my ass. But it was said in Janelle Grant's lawsuit, it was said that Brock Lesnar received photos of Janelle Grant by Vince McMahon, and Vince likes to be buddy-buddy with his big superstars. It makes you wonder, was Vince sending pictures to Cena? It just seems weird. I definitely hope this all goes to court. I hope we find out truth, if there's any truth to any of this stuff, because it's just wild claims, like, it's not hard to believe a lot of this stuff, but some of it's so crazy, like Vince McMahon showing photos of Janelle Grant and possibly other women to WWE staff and them clapping. It's just crazy things. And so it wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that, maybe Cena knows about some of this stuff. Like, you never know. You never know in wrestling. The last couple of years of wrestling have been so fucking crazy and over the top, and just, you never know. Like, if you had told me a couple of years ago that Vince McMahon wouldn't even be working in the company, I wouldn't even believe you. I'd be like, you've lost your fucking mind. And if you told me Vince McMahon was defecating on women, I would once again say you're losing your mind. So, is it so out of character or out of place in this crazy, bizarro world of wrestling to say that John Cena might know more than he's leading on? Like, you can't trust these Hollywood types. But I I do like to think that you should see the good in people before you think, think the worst. Like, as far as we know, John's a good, wholesome boy, hasn't done anything wrong. But Vince, he's been in the spotlight for years. He's a disgusting monster, basically. He's done so many awful things that, while it was surprising that he defecated in a woman's hair, I mean, at the end of the day, all of this shit is not surprising at all. So, what do you think? What's your take on John Cena? Are you mad like everyone else? Do you think that people are entitled to their opinions about the Vince McMahon lawsuit? Leave a comment, and thank you for watching. We will be back tomorrow with more wrestling news, assuredly. Thank you for watching.